Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of IndiHistory. Hope you all are doing fine and staying safe. A mother is said to be the first teacher and mentor of her child. She plays the most vital character in their life and influences their upbringing the most. Today, we shall talk about one such great mother who was a kingmaker and whose life is as inspiring as her prodigal son, and they both sketched and played an important part in Indian history. I'm sure you guys have guessed it right. Today we shall talk about Jijabai, referred to as Rajmata Jijabai and fondly known as Jijamata or Jijau. Jijabai was born on 12th January 1598 into a Maratha noble family to Mahalsabai Jadhav and Lakhuji Jadhav of Deulgaon at Sindh in present-day district of Buldhana in Maharashtra. During her growing up years, she was deeply impacted by the sufferings of the Hindus under the Mughal rule. At one time, she herself is said to have been kidnapped to be used as a bargaining chip. She learned sword fighting at a very young age, and her mother Mahalsa Bai too instilled courage in Jijabai by telling her stories of courage and valor. Jijabai was married at an early age to Shahaji Bhosle in 1605, who was the son of Maloji Bhosle, who served as a military commander under the Nizam Shahi Sultans. She was very unhappy that both her father and her husband were serving the Nizams and were undervalued by them constantly. She was a great visionary and had already envisioned the establishment of Hindu Swaraj. At one point of time, growing differences between her husband and father had torn her apart, but she decided to remain with her husband and strongly stood by his side. They had 8 children in all, 6 daughters and 2 sons. She is probably the only one such great mother in our history, who had already drawn a life path for her son even before he was born. She earnestly prayed to Goddess Bhavani for a son who would become the ruler of the Maratha clan. Her prayers were answered by the birth of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who grew up to become the founder of the Maratha Empire and was one of the most famous and successful Hindu warriors of all times. She greatly influenced his upbringing, taught him about Swaraj, and brought him up to be a great warrior. She was a lioness who gave birth to a lion and nurtured him to become a fearless warrior to defend his people and his motherland. She herself was an able warrior and administrator. She told stories of Lord Ram and Krishna, tales from Ramayana and Mahabharata, and lots of other stories of great people to Shivaji throughout his growing years. She taught him to stand up and fight against injustice. She also taught him about politics, equality, courage, valor, etc. And in addition to all this, she personally monitored his weapons training. Shivaji became a great ruler due to the powerful influence of his mother's sacrifices, education, and trainings. She is the one who formed and molded Shivaji into a great ruler. It was due to her guidance and trainings that Shivaji managed to escape several tricky situations, one of them being the famous historic escape from Agra. She laid the solid foundation of the greatness of Shivaji. During her lifetime, she underwent several events of tragedy and pain. The death of her husband brought her great sorrow. When her husband died, she wanted to commit sati, but her son Shivaji stopped her from doing so. Her father and other family members were slaughtered by the Mughals, but this did not weaken her spirits. Rather, it strengthened her resolve for Swaraj. Her eldest son Sambhaji was killed by Afzal Khan, whom Shivaji avenged later on. She was a great thinker and encouraged women during her time to learn horse riding, sword fighting, etc. She was and is a great inspiration and a role model for women on the whole, as she reflected the glory and strength of Goddess Durga. She also treated Shivaji's companions as her own sons and constantly inspired and encouraged them. One such person being Tanaji Malasure. Her dream was fulfilled the day Shivaji ascended the throne in 1674. She died shortly after Shivaji's coronation on 17th June 1674, aged 76, at the village of Pachad, which was situated at the foothills of Fort Raigad. Many statues of Jijamata with the boy Shivaji adorn important places in the region, depicting the strong bond between two great inspirational figures in Indian history. She is an eternal mother symbol of bravery, faith, and courage. With that, we end today's episode at a great note. Hope you liked it, and we shall see you soon with yet another story on India history. Thank you.